Example 4, graph each linear equation, identify the x-intercept. So letter A, y equals 4x minus 4. If I take a look at y equals 4x minus 4, this is in slope-intercept form. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to identify the slope. I'm going to identify the y-intercept. My slope is right in front of my x. My y-intercept, make sure you grab the negative with that, is my b value in the back. Now, we always start with our b value, which is our y-intercept. So I'm going to come down. I'm going to put my y-intercept on -4. Now, from there, I'm going to use my slope, which is rise over run. Again, if it's a whole number, put it over 1. That way you have a rise, and that way you have a run. They're both positive, so I'm going to come down to my y-intercept. I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to run 1, which is actually going to put me right there. I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, run 1, which will give me 3 points to make my line. Last but not least, it says to identify the x-intercept. So the x-intercept is where it hits the x-axis. Well, if I go to my x-axis, I'm right there, and it hits at 1, 0. So you can either label it right here next to x-intercept, or you can come to your graph and you can label it right on the graph at 1, 0, and that's your x-intercept. Letter B, 3x plus y equals -3. So this is in standard form, and typically in standard form, we would graph using intercepts. Substitute a 0 in for x to find the y-intercept, substitute a 0 in for y to find the x-intercept. But because we're practicing slope-intercept form, I'm going to practice slope-intercept form. Subtract 3x from both sides. Y equals -3x minus 3. I have my y by itself, so my slope is right in front of my x, -3. And then my y-intercept is my b value on the back, also -3. Start with your y-intercept. So we're going to come down, we're going to put a dot on -3. And then from there, our slope, -3 over 1. So this time, because it's a -3, rise is actually going to be a fall. -1, -2, -3, and then run 1. Then I'm going to do it again. -1, -2, -3, run 1. And then I'm going to look at this and I'm going to go, okay, that's great. I'm going to draw a line. But ultimately, I also want the x-intercept. And the x-intercept is somewhere up here. So I'm going to reverse my fall and run to a rise and run and just go the other way. So rise 1, 2, 3, run -1. So another option, what I'm really doing here is I'm still going 3, 1, except instead of a -3 and a +1, I'm going a +3 and a -1. A negative over a positive is still a negative. A positive over a negative is still a negative. So either version of this is the same slope. And then I could do it again. I could rise 1, 2, 3, run 1, and then connect all of these fantastic dots. And there's your line. But ultimately what I was looking for here was my x-intercept, which I can now see is at -1, 0. And we're done.